This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's principal second violin and artistic administrator Marwin Siu. Also in the studio, our special guest, Michael Lang, who is not really as much a special guest as a regular guest.
Getting less and less special every time I come.
Guest panelist on the program. And we also mentioned on the phone, we have our music director, Elaine Trudell, who has joined us. Welcome to all three of you. So glad to have you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, today is a special episode because it is our 150th episode. So it's sort of like the sesquicentennial. Is that 150, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the right word.
In lieu of a fanfare for you, Michael, I put together this little birthday fanfare for us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
See, mine was just the 4th, so I'll take that as a little bit of a belated as well. So,
yeah, I was thinking you had a birthday recently.
I did.
Not 150th,
no Star Wars
though.
jokes, please.
No, that's right. May the 4th.
May the 4th.
Excellent. Good to know. I knew there was something special about you, Michael. Well, Michael Lang is here from Toledo Ballet, and we're talking today about a program called Dancing Fairy Tales. This is another one of the wonderful ballet extravaganzas that Michael has put together. We spoke with you a few weeks ago about the Shakespeare program, and now fairy tales coming to life through the magic of dance, through the magic of music. Before we talk about all that, however, let's take a little walk through memory lane just to get us started, right? Now, I've got a little music here for us, and Merwin, I asked you...
forming.
Yeah, exactly. Good memories. They're good memories. Merwin, I had asked you to talk a little bit about some of the favorite moments that you had in prior episodes. You want to mention one or two of those?
Sure. I have very fond memories of Felicia Canny's kazoo virtuosity.
Yeah.
That's still something that brings a tear to my eye in a very different way.
As kazoos often will.
As kazoos often
Yeah. Well, that was sort of like our go-to moment.
It was. But
Yeah.
even now, when I'm trying to, gently soothe my kid to sleep, I will
Play this music?
No, there was a wonderful alternate history episode that I can't remember how far back that was, but Felicia talked about her possible career as an actuary, and that puts my kid right to sleep.
Excellent. Michael, you have any favorite moments? I mean, you've been on here several times.
I think just losing every quiz we've ever done, except for the one where you included Balanchine. That's pretty much the memory I have of my time here.
Yeah.
Merwin wins again.
I remember the never-ending episode that we did for New Year's, right? We were talking about pigeons and chasing pigeons. And people are going to have to go find that on their own. But
it got a little off track, maybe.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a part of that
say?
episode, even though I wasn't there.
I went back and listened to our 100th episode retrospective, and there were a lot of great clips in there. We may have even had that kazoo clip in there with Felicia. But I'm going to pull up another clip that, Merwin, I know that you were impressed with, and this also has to do with Felicia Kenny, who used to be a panelist with our organization, and when we talked with Lea Salonga, right?
Oh,
you remember that?
Yes.
And poor Felicia couldn't talk. Her voice was like all raspy, and she asked for advice from Lea Salonga, who launched into a whole
Heat is
set
on in
of
Saigon, or
a whole set of ways to take care of your voice. I want to play that clip for you. I promise we're not going to do a clip show, but I do have a couple of clips, so we'll bring in Dr. Lea for this. Everybody that I talked to about this concert, they're very excited about it, including poor little Felicia, who is here with us, who emailed me last night, scared to death, saying, I've lost my voice, I can't talk.
It's fine.
and I said, well, you come on anyway. And we'll ask Lea what you can do to help your voice. So can you give any advice,
Tips
from
for
one
the
singer
non-singer.
to...
I'm going to pass on advice that has come from my doctors. I mean, there are a few. And like if I get sick in a certain country, then I have to go to that doctor. But all of them have in common. All of them have this to say in common: don't talk. Basically, it's shut everything down. No singing, no speaking. Just keep those vocal cords as far apart from each other as physically possible, and let them heal. And then I guess whatever course of treatment the doctor recommends, whether it's depending on the cause of the problem. If it's a bacterial issue, then you take antibiotics. If it's a viral issue, the only thing you can really do is rest, relieve your symptoms, eat healthy, try to get a lot of vitamin C and other supportive vitamins in you. One ENT from New York, she actually recommended this. It's a vitamin called Immucor, which kind of, I think it really focuses on the immune system. And she said if you're starting to get sick, you take a couple of those. And I think you can order them from I'm not sure if Amazon has it or if you can get it from a specialty laboratory. But yeah, you can just Google Immucor, Immucore. And
we are writing this down for Felicia.
I think I might as well.
I don't think it's available at like Rite Aid or
I'm
CVS
very
or
impressed.
anything like that. I think you'd have to order it online or get it from a specialty
Thank you.
pharmacy or something. But yeah, that's what she suggested. And then also we also do Young Living essential oils. There are a few that are really great for the immune system. There are a few that really get phlegm out. There's just all sorts of remedies that are conservative, but still quite effective, that aren't, pharmaceutical.
Strangely enough, my wife gives me that advice all the time.
Yeah.
Don't talk.
Keep those vocal cords as far apart as
Just
possible.
give it a rest, will
Socially distanced. Yeah.
The thing about this is there's something just incredibly musical about listening to that entire excerpt. First of all, she's telling a radio panelist not to talk, which is funny enough. And then there's just slow crescendo and then layer after layer of incredible advice from Lea Salonga.
Yeah.
And then when you're sitting there listening to this, I just remember feeling, oh my gosh, we're getting all of this really impressive behind the scenes, how to take care of your voice advice from one of the great singers. And this is on the radio live.
Yeah.
And there was just this surreal moment that I'll never forget, just sitting there listening to her, tell us about all of these wonderful tips, along with how to spell the vitamins and how to order them. It still cracks me up listening to it.
Given the fact that it was radio, though, it would have been funny if you guys just sat in silence for like another 45 minutes after. See how that went.
We'll try that. We're slowly working our way there, right? We'll get there. I have to wonder if she has some kind of endorsement deal with Immucor or whatever that vitamin is. However,
I was surprised she didn't mention the oregano oil that you put under your tongue. That works really well, too.
Yeah, see, we have advice also from Elaine Trudel. And Elaine, you've worked with a lot of singers, so I imagine you've heard a lot of stuff from singers. Well, while we've got you, why don't you take us on a little trip through memory lane? And do you remember the first time you were on this podcast? What was that? When Elaine was on the first time, we were sort of like a getting to know you kind of thing. Yeah. I don't have a clip of that, but we can.
Some time ago, I think.
Yeah.
Getting to know.
But the one that sticks out is, unfortunately, not one that I'm on, or fortunately, I was following the advice we just talked about. I wasn't talking at all on this one, and it's for me, is the West Side Story one.
Oh yeah,
that's for me that's the top.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, we talked about all the balls you had to keep in the air. All the stuff you had to do as a conductor for that program.
No, but especially the miniature theater of it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, the Masterpiece Theater. Right? Was it Masterpiece Theater? I don't know how you called it.
Something like that. The Symphony Lab Players, I think.
Yeah.
We called it. Yeah.
That still is one of my favorite ones.
Well, I have something that's just a little bit more recent, and this is from the episode that we did with Erin Moran Wiley. You remember Erin, who is a clinical psychotherapist here in Toledo. Very popular, also has guested a couple of times on Symphony Lab. When we had her on year before last, I think, we won a Touchstone Award for that episode, so one of our award-winning episodes, right? One of the things that I asked Erin to do on that first episode, which was about stage fright and dealing with performance anxiety, was to be the Quizmaster. She was Quizmaster Erin, so we had a little quiz that she did. So what I've done is I've taken her speaking the quiz, asking the questions, put a little space in there, and we're going to retake the quiz now to see if we can figure it out, right? So the name of this quiz was 7 Bad Habits of Highly Effective Composers. Was anybody here for that?
I think I was, so I'm
You were
going
here?
to
Okay.
step aside for this quiz.
Well, yeah, that's assuming you remember all the answers.
Oh,
right?
of course.
Okay.
I studied all 150 previous quizzes for this episode.
Good to know. That's why you always
That's
win,
how you
right?
do it.
Okay, here we go.
Lying on the radio. That's how I do it.
Let's try our quiz with Erin Moran Wiley.
This composer often left uneaten trays of food around his apartment, and it smelled badly. Cut a hole in his wall so he could have a view of his favorite cathedral, and once raged over a lost penny and wrote a piece about it.
We got 8 seconds.
Alain Trudel.
That was my guess too.
No, it was
Started a
Beethoven.
drinking club and often had to
here's
be
the next
dragged
one.
away from it to conduct his music.
That's not Elaine.
Oh,
Stopped
I was gonna say
composing
Langer
20
Dog.
years before his death, and wrote his country's unofficial national anthem.
Sibelius.
Sibelius, yes. Oh, we got to wait for the
All
next
right,
one.
number 3.
There we go.
Once drew his sword on a student, also spent time in jail for insubordination. Was at the
hasn't?
center of a famous musical dynasty. Despite his ill temper, wrote well-tempered music.
Bach.
Fuck, yeah, that's right.
GSB.
Oh, I thought it was PDQ.
No,
All right, number
Number
4. Owned 12 identical gray velvet suits and wore one at a time until they wore out. He left 6 unworn at the time of his death. This was the strangest one. Ate only white food like eggs, sugar, shredded bones, and the fat of dead animals. And gave his works eccentric titles like Flabby Preludes for a Dog.
That should get
yeah. Elaine is cleaning up. Okay, next one.
So this number 6, I actually think I know this one. Okay. When bored, he sometimes jumped over tables and chairs, meowing like a cat. He was very, very fond of fart jokes, and the first thing he wrote after
Mozart.
his overbearing father died was a musical joke.
Yeah, your microphone just fell.
It's the ghost. We have summoned them. That
The
note
ghost
must
frequency.
have worked.
Yeah. Anybody know who that was?
Well, Aaron,
Yeah, Mozart.
Is it Mozart?
Yay!
Yeah.
Good job.
I saw
point for
Amadeus. I know.
I love her interjection at the end there. I saw Amadeus. Excellent. I think Elaine cleaned up on that quiz, so congratulations to you. We're not going to count that quiz, though.
I leave the ones that don't have a special anniversary to Merwin. I just like to show up for the Super Bowl, you know.
The special ones, yeah.
I was just waiting for the Balanchine
Questions, yeah. Well, get
You
in
got a
line.
couple in there.
Get in line. But now's your chance to talk, Michael, because we're going to go on back to Dancing Fairy Tales now. I know we were having so much fun reminiscing about prior episodes, but we have something to look forward to. This is Dancing Fairy Tales. This concert, I should mention, is happening Friday and Saturday. It's Friday at 7 o'clock p.m., Saturday at 3 o'clock p.m. You can live stream Friday night at stream.artstoledo.com. There's also an in-house audience for both nights. You can get information about tickets at 419-246-8000 or ToledoSymphony.com. Michael Lang, tell us what Dancing Fairy Tales is.
Well, it's just a lot of fun. That's we've kind of bookended our season with lightheartedness and fun. We started with the Gershwin, and then moving soliloquies a couple weeks ago. Was it a couple weeks ago? Something.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yesterday. Yeah. Was also this idea that we miss the arts too, and so it gave some people a little bit something deeper to dig into. But now we're just back to bring the kids, have some fun, have some laughs. I basically have this premise of a teacher that has these 4 young students, all around 10 years old, that are listening to his lesson plan is to teach them about the fairy tales of Hans Christian Andersen. Well, they have other ideas, and so they kind of hijack his lesson plan and take us all over the place. We do get to visit Ugly Duckling, but in a unique way. We get to visit the Emperor's New Clothes, but then the kids go into the Three Little Pigs and other things that they want, and they kind of rearrange these the way they see it in their imaginations. And I've got the greatest group of little actor kids that are in my acting classes on Saturday, and when you get talent like that, you're like, oh, what can we do with this, and so I've given them a little playground to play in here. But it's just a lot of fun. And when you dive into these fairy tales, they can get a bit dark. It's not, I did a show called Tales of Grimm, and with that one we definitely did not set it up as a kid's performance. It was like, no, this is Grimm. This is, the Grimm brothers were Grimm. So but this one is just lighthearted, funny. I think just to come and watch these kids act would be worth the price of the admission. But then the dancers, they're just having a lot of fun, and I think it's a great way to end the season with this family series. And they'll have a good time. Yeah.
Now this is with music, obviously from the classical repertoire, but the composers with a sense of humor. I think of the Three Little Pigs, and I would associate that with Saint-Saëns because they used his music in Babe. You remember that? Symphony No. 3?
That's right.
But
can't get that size of an orchestra on our stage right now.
Elaine, do you want to talk a little bit about these composers and specifically the fun, kind of lighthearted music and composers we have on this program?
Well, composers that are a lot of fun. It's funny because we talk about Saint-Saëns, and I don't think it was a guy that was so much fun, but he had humor in his music. Now, sometimes we can talk about people that have humor in their music, but maybe are not people that are so much fun, like maybe Shostakovich. It has humor, but, sarcastic humor. And, of course, it's not humor like Haydn. Haydn is somebody, personally, I kind of associate with Haydn, and not the part that he's a genius, but the part that he's somebody who helps put things together, and he makes sure there's a good band on stage and the music is good and it's there, and takes things in stride. That's pretty much in his personality. And I think there's not that many composers, but it must have been interesting to have Haydn and Mozart together because they both had a pretty good sense of humor. Of course, we just heard about Mozart, a little bit the more, how should we say, basic humor. But Haydn, Shostakovich, they would be like different poles of humor, And I think that would be, and of course you mentioned Saint-Saëns. I mean, if we talk about composers that have a little flair to have topics and subjects and their music that have humor, like Satie is the same also. But I don't think there are people like that have, there's like fun people. But, it's not like Bernstein. You would take Bernstein. He's pretty easygoing guy. Van Gaal can be, he's a big superstar, but had a lot of humor in his music. But I would say Haydn, Shostakovich, who else do we talk about? Some
Verdi.
Other idea.
Verdi.
Verdi. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Verdi. Yeah. And, but it's what is humor to you, right? What is humor to somebody? I think the spectrum for me, the different end of the spectrum are Haydn, Shostakovich. You could put in the middle there. It's not like a PDQ Bach kind of thing that Merwin mentioned earlier. Peter Schickele.
That's a whole different ballet, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm interested in the selection of Verdi, though, because Verdi is known as an opera composer, and you've got his one extant piece of concert hall music illustrating this story of the three little pigs.
Well, it's actually really funny because I think if we think of a fugue as a very academic sort of exercise, but it's really very much about one theme chasing the same version of the theme all over, and it actually works really well for dance to illustrate that sort of thing. And so Verdi, not necessarily known for his fugues, but he has one of the great fugues at the end of Falstaff, and in this particular quartet, it ends with this really, really fun fugue. So it felt like a really good fit there. And then we just threw a little scherzo in front of that has this little bit of a manic energy.
You have all the pigs and stick people jumping around and running around at the very end there with that fugue.
I do. There is a wolf. My set designer, Jim Hill, has got these great 3 houses, one of straw, obviously, and sticks and bricks. And the brick has places for them to hide. So it's just like you see him go out and chase this pig and kind of chase this pig. And then, and then they end up chasing him. And then, it's just kind of a Three Stooges moment, if you will.
I was going to say.
It was very much what Verdi was thinking. Exactly. You could see in Italian, he's right. And there's the house of bricks, and here's the house of sticks.
What does this mean on measure of 33? I don't understand.
It's interesting that they all say we're all fooled. All fooled, all fooled. It's basically the words to that fugue.
Oh, it's a good point.
Wait, tutti gabatti.
Tutti gabatti. All the world is a joke. Right? Those are the ending words of the opera Falstaff. Probably one of the most brilliant moments in all of opera. And it was Verdi's last opera when he was in his 80s that he wrote that piece. And it's just a perfect final word, on the world.
You see a little bit of that it kind of, foreshadows this in this particular fugue. You hear a little bit of that writing. So, you can kind of, opera lovers can kind of like, smile knowingly as they hear it.
Are you guys doing, I know that Toledo Ballet is offering classes over the summer. Have you already got everybody signed up for that? I know you had your open house.
We had
May
our open
6th,
house.
But
and then, we always have classes that continue throughout the summer. But then we also have our intensives. And so we bring in people from Miami City Ballet, Cincinnati Ballet, some really top-notch principal dancers to teach these kids the intensives, which are just from 10 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon kind of days of intense work. And it's fun because that's when growth really. I like the summer because we don't have shows and stuff as much, and we can really just focus on the craft, before we jump back in. Because once August rolls around in my house, all of a sudden we start hearing sugar plum fairies flying in the air and stuff, So it happens pretty quickly.
Time.
Yeah, it happens pretty quickly. So the summer's always a fun time for us to really just hone in on craft and grow.
do you do stuff in the studio, or you get outside? Or I'm thinking in terms of social distancing and maintaining precautions.
Yeah, and we've definitely kept the masks on and social distancing going. But last year, if you remember, we at Wildwood we had a little gazebo kind of thing that we did all this outside, which for me especially, because I teach a lot more of the contemporary kind of things. I mean, I just having kids in nature was awesome. I said, go look at the trees and see how the leaves are blowing in the wind, and I want you to come back and be that leaf, and just things that kind of forced them to. Because in this day of like cell phones and everything else, it's we got to think of ways to get them back outside and to put that down and just see things, again.
Well, if there's some parents listening who still want to get in on the classes, can they find it at ToledoBallet.com?
Yeah, ToledoBallet.com.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to get information of what's going on and signing up.
Good to know. I have a quiz, a fairy tale quiz. You guys want to do this? It's a little weird.
I'm stunned.
Because none of my quizzes have been weird in the past. But this is a fairy tale morals quiz. I'm calling it pin the tail on the moral, kind of. but this is a cliche edition. What I've done is I've taken the moral of the fairy tale and turned it into like a cliche, put it through that filter. So I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you the moral, and I'm going to list 3 fairy tales, and you tell me which one best matches the moral. Okay? And it's completely subjective. So if I say you're wrong, you're wrong. If I say you're right, you're right. Right? Does that make sense?
This feels very much like pretty much every other quiz.
Yeah, perfect.
I love the subjective arbitration. It's perfect.
Let me bring up the music here. Okay. The first one is Boys Will Be Boys. Is that Puss in Boots, Peter Pan, or Hansel and Gretel?
Tutti fan tutti.
Peter Pan, I would think.
Yeah, Peter Pan. Very good, Michael. Peter Pan. Be careful who you trust. Is that the 3 Little Pigs, Little Red Riding Hood, or the Princess and the Pea?
Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. Love Conquers All. The Ugly Duckling, Cinderella, or Sleeping Beauty?
Cinderella.
No, wait a minute. It's supposed to be Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Cinderella.
Yeah, so give it a
Drowsy-rella.
You're very inventive when it comes to these fairy tales. Okay, the truth is out there. Is that Pinocchio, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, or The Emperor's New Clothes?
The X-Files.
Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Or all of the above, or none of the above?
Yeah.
All of the above.
I mean, Emperor's New Clothes fits too.
Yeah, definitely all of the above. Ignorance is bliss. Was that Jack and the Beanstalk, Androcles and the Lion, or the 3 Little Pigs? All of the above or none of the above?
None of the above?
None of the above.
It says with a question mark?
Yes. If you see something, say something. Is that The Emperor's New Clothes,
Yes.
Alice in Wonderland, or Beauty and the Beast?
Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah, Emperor's New Clothes.
Very good. Don't judge a book by its cover. Beauty and the Beast, The Little Engine That Could, or The Ugly Duckling?
All of the above.
All of the above.
I'll go ahead and give it. That's where the subjectivity comes into play. Okay, always follow your dreams. Is that Alice in Wonderland, Jack and the Beanstalk, or Cinderella?
Cinderella?
Not as much. That's more of a good conquers evil kind of thing. Follow your dreams, I mean literally, almost literally.
Alice
in Wonderland.
Yeah. Although I totally see what you're going for there. Patience is a virtue. The Tortoise and the Hare, the 3 Little Pigs, or Rapunzel?
Tortoise.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
So I really like this, you take a long time to grow out your hair, things can happen.
So you could say Rapunzel and the Hare.
Rapunzel and the Hare. Good point.
Exactly.
There's
Play on words.
I like it.
Finally, you are what you eat. Is it Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, Little Red Riding Hood, or Hansel and Gretel?
Hansel and
Well,
Goldilocks.
What are you thinking, Elaine?
I'm thinking that if he eats the grandma, he becomes the grandma.
I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you. I don't know what the answer is.
I was hoping for the Princess and the Pea with that one.
All right. Yeah, I thought about that as well. Now, this is probably the closest quiz that we've had in a long time. But I have to give it to Michael because he sailed through a few of these.
See, whenever you wrote down M, I think you meant Merwin.
I know. We've had that trouble in the past.
Merwin Michael confusion.
I did an MI. I did an MI for Mike. Well, let me actually count it because I got a little lazy and just looked at it.
I'm pretty sure I won this,
2, 3, 4, 5. 5 for Michael.
If I lose this on a
1,
technicality.
2, 3. 3 for Merwin, and 2 for Elaine. I think that's right. Yeah. So Michael is the winner. Good job.
Yay! Good job, Michael.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes. Dear Diary.
Good job, guys.
There we
Thanks.
go. I had to bring in the little quiz outro there. Well, anyway, we do want to mention one more time that the concert is happening this weekend, Friday evening at 7 p.m., Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. If you are listening to us on the radio, you can still get tickets and sit in the house and watch this fairy tale extravaganza. That's 419-246-8000 for the box office, or ToledoSymphony.com, and you can stream the performance, watch it online on Friday evening at 7 o'clock. That's a live stream at stream.artstoledo.com. I want to thank you, Michael, for coming in and telling us about this. I mean, it's fascinating what you do, and this whole idea of creating a show out of these disparate elements, with an overarching theme is so inventive and so creative. And that's just the idea. I mean, actually implementing it and choreographing it and creating it on the stage with your cast of characters, it just boggles the mind to think of what goes into these performances, right? Merwin, you just play the violin, so that's easy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think people are going to have so much fun with this. And what I love about these shows this year is that it really is showing this idea. We've got actors, dancers, musicians, everybody just coming together, which is something that we're all missing and really looking forward to getting back to. So
Coming together, I like that. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. And remember, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website at ToledoSymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find the TSO streaming concerts online at stream.artstoledo.com. My thanks to Merwin Siu, Elaine Trudell, and our guest, Michael Lang. I'm Brad Cresswell. You've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.